this video, I'm going to briefly demonstrate, or maybe not so briefly, demonstrate how to clean a computer that is infected with various types of malware. I'll demonstrate some of the tools that are commonly used as of the time of this recording. So here I have a Windows 8 machine, and sometimes when you're working on a computer and all of a sudden you have something like this that shows up on the screen where it says that so many issues have been found, and click here to fix it or call technical support and so on. So this is an example of a machine that has spyware already installed and infected. Some types of spyware could be showing up similar to this window, or you'd have icons like on the desktop, such as for optimizing the PC, for live help or driver support, or other apps like PC cleaning and so on. These, by the way, those spyware applications are usually installed by your computer not being fully up to date. And also, as a lot of times as you're browsing the web, all of a sudden you go to an infected website, and then all of a sudden it asks you, the system asks you as you're browsing the web, to update, let's say, the Flash player, or to update some kind of media player in your computer. Of course, other times it can happen by opening an infected link via email and so on, or a link on a website and so on. So there are various ways that your computer can get infected. So the purpose of this video is basically to show you what tools you can utilize to remove those or clean the PC. It's also important to understand that once it's infected, it's nearly impossible to have it 100% clean, the PC, because there are things that you never know that could infect the or could download additional stuff later in your computer. So to get started, a couple of the tools. One of the tools of choice as of this time of the recording, it would be probably Malwarebytes. So to go and get Malwarebytes, there are a couple of places that you can download it. One of the best, by the way, instead of searching on Google, because another way to download or to get the wrong medicine for this is by downloading it from the wrong location. So the right website for Malwarebytes would be from the website malwarebytes.com. And then from here, under downloads, you could go under products and then download it for free from here. However, another tool that I prefer to utilize, and it's very effective as of this time, would be to go to a website called ninite.com, Ninite.com. This site has a bunch of utilities that you can download, and the nice thing is that it doesn't download any additional toolbars, it doesn't download any other junk related to your computer. So just put a check mark to the apps that you want, but in this case I'm going to just download malware. And you could also download, if you have anything other than Windows 8, you could also download Essentials here, which is from Microsoft. So then we click on Get Installer, and then click on Run, and then go ahead and run it. As this is downloading here, it's also important to understand that it's usually, in some cases, the malware might have impaired your computer so much that you cannot even go on the web. And if that is the case, then you have a bigger problem with your computer. So in that case, what you'd need to do is basically use other tools. You might have to Google whatever the error message or whatever is showing up in your computer as infected. Basically try to remove it, but that is a very tedious process. So in this case I have connection to the internet, but the computer is basically infected. So I have downloaded at this point Malwarebytes. So notice it's right here, Malwarebytes anti-malware. And you'd go ahead and run it. So at this point we are going to use the free version of Malwarebytes here. So the first thing that you'd usually do, and by the way this will change from version to version, it might look slightly different, but the key is to have the correct Malwarebytes, so the one from the vendor itself. So in this case, we need to click on Update Now, and it'll go and get the latest updates. Now, one other thing that I would strongly suggest that you do is to also go and try to remove those programs before you even run the scans. So if you go to Add Remove Programs in whatever version of Windows that you have, it would be best to basically try to remove the programs, even though they do not fully remove. And that's why we need to use Malwarebytes and a bunch of other tools that I'll demonstrate in a moment. So before we click on Run a Scan here, or Fix Now for this scan, what we are going to do is we're going to close Malwarebytes for now, and then we are going to go to Add Remove Programs. Now, to go to Add Remove Programs, it depends on what version of Windows you have, but basically the easiest would be to press the Windows key and then R. That will bring up the Run command. This is the easiest. It works with every version. And then in here you type appwiz.cpl. Then click OK. Now this will take you directly to Add Remove Programs, or the location to uninstall programs. So now this is a clean installation of my computer, so most likely in your computer you'll have a lot of other stuff in there. So in this case, whatever seems suspicious, like optimizers, registry, and toolbars and things like that, that is safe to remove. Another tip here is, when you buy a new computer, take a note of the programs that are already in the computer, and then at any point in the future you can go back and look as to what has been added, and then you know for sure that it's not something that you need. So in this case I have here driver support, so I could just click on driver support, click on uninstall, and remove them if you can. Again, it's important to know that just because you remove them from here, it doesn't mean that they are removed completely from your computer. So there are still remnants different places. Now we click also on My PC Optimizer. And by the way, your computer might have other stuff in there. This was actually hard for me to get it infected so I could demonstrate this, but we'll see. Then Norton Zone, for example, let's go ahead and remove that as well. And now notice it closed Add Remove Programs, so we need to get back into it. Go back to Windows key R, and then appwiz.cpl, click OK, and then let's go ahead and remove the Registry Optimizer. Then we click on, let's say this other one, Registry or PC Cleaner Plus. And then whatever else that you may determine that it is spyware. So this is the last one that I have here. The next step here is going to be to actually now scan it with Malwarebytes. So supposedly we removed those. Now let's see what we find with Malwarebytes. So open up Malwarebytes. And again, your version might look slightly different here. This is the latest version as of April 2014 here. So what you'd want to do is you'd want to click right here, Scan Now, or you'd click on Scan here on the top and then choose a full scan. I would suggest that you probably do a custom scan here and then click on Scan Now. You can choose all the different types here. You can choose to scan the C drive and other drives if you have them, and then click on Run Scan. Apparently there is an update again here. It's updated, so it's good to always update this, by the way. And also it's good to run this maybe every 3 to 4 weeks on your computer. So once the scan is completed with anti-malware, Malwarebytes anti-malware, then you'll see a whole bunch of this stuff that has been found on your computer. The results, basically. At this point, it's important to kind of select them all and make sure that you either quarantine them or delete them completely. So in this case, we're going to choose quarantine all, and that should be complete at this point. Now we close Malwarebytes, and the next thing that I suggest is that we reboot the computer. Once the computer has been restarted, then we need to log in back again. And then at this point, most likely it's not all cleared out yet. At this point, there are still probably remnants. It's just like in the medical world, where one medicine might not correct all the different issues. So at this point, we're going to run a whole bunch of other tools to make sure that it's not clean. So notice here it says Optimizer Pro, Performance Monitor, and all that type of stuff. So that means that there are still problems with this computer. So at this point, we need to run a bunch of other tools to check the computer for further malware or any remnants that have been left over. So the easiest would be if you have Google Chrome in your computer, open it up, and then we'll need to go to this website called bleepingcomputer.com. Once you get to the site, I'll suggest that you click on Downloads. And then from here we need to download 3 or 4 different tools that are very useful in removing spyware. By the way, this site is very useful. It has some tutorials, it has some other virus removal tools, particular for specific viruses. So you just want to kind of check it out as well. So for example, how to remove the internet guard if you get something like this, or how to remove the keyfind.com, or things like that. So it's very powerful, very good website. So at this point, we'll click on Downloads. And then here on the left-hand side, you'll see most downloaded in Windows. So you have ComboFix, AdW Cleaner, rkill, Junkware Removal Tool, and TDSSkiller. These are various tools that do different things. Think of it like different antibiotics. So at this point, the first one that we'd want to download and run is probably the AdW Cleaner. It's very similar to Malwarebytes. And then we'll download it from the Bleeping Computer here. Be cautious here as well in not clicking on the wrong buttons here. Like notice the sponsored advertisement. We want to download the one from the site itself. And it will save it under Downloads or somewhere where you can find it. We're not going to go over that at this point. Then we'll scroll down here. We are going to download the ComboFix. That's another tool. Again, we'll download it from this site, not the sponsored advertisement. Then we're going to download the rkill. Rkill is that if it's a process that is already running on the computer, and you're trying to remove the virus, it will kill those processes automatically so you can clean it. However, if you reboot the computer in between sessions, all those processes might start again. So it does not remove the processes permanently, it just kills them temporarily. And then pick one of those links here. The exe is fine. Now the reason why there are different types of links here is because depending on the malware, it may not even allow you to execute it. So that's why you choose one of those other links from the download here. And then the Junkware Removal Tool. It's a tool that goes through all your directories in the computer, and if it detects that there are leftovers from different types of spyware, it'll go ahead and clean them out for you for the different malware programs out there. And here's the JRT, Junk Removal Tool. And then we'll download one last component here, and that is the TDSSkiller. The TDSSkiller, it's also another application that is designed to remove rootkits primarily. So if your computer, you find that the computer is completely clean with using all of these tools, but then all of a sudden it's still bringing up advertisements, it still seems that you're not able to clean it out, most likely then your computer is infected with a rootkit. And I'm not going to get into what the rootkits and all that type of stuff are, but basically it's malware that normal tools do not detect it. So we'll download the TDSSkiller as well. It's also here on the left hand side. And basically at this point we need to run all of these tools. The first one that I would suggest after running Malwarebytes on a computer is to run the AdW Cleaner. So I'm going to go here, show in folder, where I can see all my downloads. And then I'm going to go and launch the AdW Cleaner. Go ahead and run it. Agree. And then all you have to do, this is pretty simple to run, all you have to do is you click on scan, and we wait until the scan has completed. And keep in mind, by the way, that this is going to ask us to reboot the computer as soon as we click on clean here. So it scans the computer, and then you notice you go under folders, notice there is some stuff that it has found in different folders. Under the files area, it will usually display whatever files have been found, and then under the registry, what kind of keys are stored in the registry that could be removed, and then for different browsers, what plugins have been added to it. So by clicking on clean here, it will actually go and take all of those entries out, the registry, the files, the plugin, and all that type of stuff. And then we close this here. Now it wants us to restart the computer. We wait for the computer to start, log in, and then at this point we need to run a couple of the other tools. If we go here under Chrome, or go to wherever you downloaded your files before. By the way, this is a log now at this point, once we restarted it, what it removed. AdW Cleaner log, what it removed. Now if we go here under downloads on Google Chrome, we'll see the stuff that you downloaded earlier. Of course, you can even go to the folder and check it out from here too. Now the next one that I would suggest that you run is the rkill. We could have run the rkill also before AdW Cleaner, and probably that would have been best, but since we didn't do it before, we can run it now. This, again, it will kill any processes that are actively running on the computer as far as malware. And it's only temporary for this session. Now at this point, what we are going to do is we are going to run the JRT tool, Junk Removal Tool. It does a registry backup, and then it will go through the different directories in the computer and remove any leftovers from the different applications that were uninstalled earlier or that might be existent in the computer. Once the JRT tool has been run, notice it will present a log of what it deleted and what it removed. Now notice it's interesting that we ran all of these other tools earlier and we think that we were done. However, notice there is more stuff that it found at this point. So now we'll run a couple more here. Let's go back to our download directory. And at this point we are going to run ComboFix. ComboFix is a tool that if none of these other stuff works and you're still seeing advertisements and its computer is doing strange things, then you run this ComboFix tool. What it does is it launches the scanning in a completely separate environment from Windows, even though it's running from Windows. So let's see how it runs. So you'll double click on it. It will look like an old DOS screen, like in the old days, but it's effective. Again, it does a registry backup. And by the way, this process can take anywhere between 10 and 30 minutes. Click on that, click OK to that warning message. And it seems like nothing is happening. However, it will come back in a moment here. So I'm finding here that ComboFix is not running on Windows 8.1. So if you have a Windows 7 machine, it should run fine, or Windows XP or some other type of version of Windows. So unfortunately I cannot demonstrate it at this point. And the last tool that you'd run here is the TDSSkiller, which will check for a certain type of rootkit in your computer. Then you click on accept here, and then you just click on start scan. If anything was found, it would show up right here as threats, and it will give you a choice to clean it out. So now we can close this. And at this point we have run all of these tools. So basically the system should be fairly clean, or it shouldn't have any issues. Of course, it's not 100% for sure anytime you're dealing with this type of stuff. So the next thing what you'd want to check is, and I'll show you two more options to check. A lot of times different malware, what they do is they redirect all your searches through a different either DNS server system or DNS system rather than the one at home, or it changes settings on your browser. So what you can do is you open, for example, Google Chrome here, then you go under settings. So we need to check the browser settings. If we go here under advanced settings and then go under change proxy settings. Under this, we need to click on LAN settings. This is, by the way, the internet properties. It's shared. It's the common one for both Internet Explorer and also for Chrome in this case. We click on LAN settings. You need to make sure that this is either automatically detect settings, or I'll uncheck that. It does not need to be checked. But some other times you'll have something else either in here or under proxy server. So you want to make sure that you're not using a proxy server, unless you're in a business environment and you know that you have to use a proxy server. But nowadays proxy servers are not common anymore. So you want to make sure that you don't have any settings here under the local area network settings. Then you click OK, click OK again. The other way to get to those internet settings is if you do the Windows key and then R. That will give you the run command, and then you could do inet cpl.cpl. Then you go under connections, you go under LAN settings. Notice it looks the same, and then just make sure that nothing is checked from here. Other things that you might want to make sure that are not running on startup or that are not taking place is that if you open Notepad, you need to check the host's file. The host file, sometimes it can redirect you to different sites. Let's say you search for google.com. However, if it's an entry in the host's file to redirect you to somewhere else, then it'll do it. That'll take priority no matter what other settings you have. So the way you check that is if you open Notepad, and then if you go under File, Open, and then you go under the C drive, and then under Windows. So maybe I should type it over here. C Windows System 32 Drivers etc, and then you need to put also the word hosts. Then open it with Notepad. By the way, it's a hidden file. It may not allow you to browse for it and all that type of stuff, and also even change it. It should be read only. So at least at this point you'd be able to determine if you have anything other than this. This is the default one. If you have anything other than this entry, then you definitely have a problem. So again, basically we need to make sure that the host file is something like this, and it doesn't have any entries here next to the number mark here. So it shouldn't have any entries down here. So the last component that I'll show you is deactivating anything that might be starting on startup. The way you do that it depends on from system to system, and one of the ways is to go under msconfig. So Windows key, R again, and then type msconfig. And this works in every Windows version, the Windows and R. And then we go under startup here, And in Windows 7, XP, and so on, it will give you all the different options right here as to what starts in the startup and what doesn't. Now in Windows 8, it takes us to the Task Manager. So we'll click on Open Task Manager. Another way to open the Task Manager, if you wanted to do it directly, is right-click here on the taskbar and you choose Task Manager. Then under Task Manager, you click on Startup. This is where the different entries will show up. Unfortunately, at this point, I don't have any of them on Startup, but you'd have an option to enable it to start or not enable it on Startup. It'll be right here. It's also important to understand that in Windows 8, Microsoft has Security Essentials built into the application, so you can actually go ahead and run a virus scan on your computer, and this is to check it against viruses. So you can get to it either through by going to the Control Panel. So I'm going to right-click here on Windows 8.1 and then choose Control Panel. And then under the category here, I'm going to choose Small Icons, and then I'm going to run the scan from here. So you go here under Windows Defender, and then click on Update, make sure it's all up to date first, and then run a full scan of your computer. The other way to do it on Windows 8 is if you press the Windows key and then search for Windows Defender. It'll open up with this. That is it. I hope this video is helpful and you'll find it helpful someday in removing malware from your computer. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to post them below the video, and feel free to subscribe so that you can always get the latest updates whenever I publish a new video. Thank you and have a great day.